Welcome to a new video with Our Home in the Forest. I am Caroline and I'm living on our forest farm with my husband Misha and our two little children. In today's video, I would like to tell you how it comes that a German and a Russian decided to buy a farm in central Portugal. It's more than 10 years ago that Misha and I met, and we met here in Portugal while I was on a job, I was doing events, and he was working in a hotel. After being together for a couple of months, we started dreaming what we could do with our life. We both loved the tourism industry. We were thinking about how to make our own money, how to live on our own terms without being dependent on a company. But it has not been until now that this was actually possible. So over the first years, we have been seeing some properties that looked interesting to us, but we also had zero budget. While we were looking for lands to buy, ideas how to make it work to live in the countryside or to renovate something, we came across an apartment near Lisbon. We have been also checking apartments in Lisbon, but the prices were skyrocketing. This must have been around 2016, 17. Then in 2017, we found an apartment in the south of Lisbon that had still a really good price, even though back in the day we still thought it was expensive. So we bought an apartment in 2017, end of the year, for 50,000 euros. We still needed a credit for that, so we didn't have a lot of budget. Also, for reference, we both bought an apartment and also here the quinta with being Portuguese citizens. This might be different to where you are at in your search and how you can buy something, but we also assisted a family member from another European country to buy something in Portugal. So it is certainly possible. For the time being, we renovated our apartment, and the idea of going somewhere to the countryside never left our minds, but we also wanted to give birth to children in a private hospital in Lisbon. So we were also always thinking staying with the companies that we were with to have our children. We wanted to eventually, like, never like a fixed plan, but like thinking about generally that was the idea, having the children in Lisbon while working for companies. You also get parental leave, you have the medical and social network to fall back on. So that's what we did. And then, yes, our second son was born, and life got really much more stressful being in jobs with shifts and organizing these little people. We really felt that now we had to go out there again and look for property where we want to go. We thought now or never. The oldest was 4, so the idea was also when they are starting more to have fixed friends and they needed this social network, that we wanted to be settled somewhere where we want to be the next 15, 20 years at least. Obviously, it's very possible to move with all the children, to make a big move, but for us it was this thought, if at any point now is the perfect time, the children are young enough to relocate them without big issues. We are still young enough. I am turning 40 next year. Misha is turning 40 the year after. We feel still young enough to move our body. This might not be the case in maybe 10 years, but I don't know. You might get it, right? So we are turning 40. So the idea was, okay, we really need to get out there and find something where we want to do this life change. It's now. And we must have seen in person, probably over the years, 20 properties that doesn't sound a lot, but obviously you are narrowing down your wish list over the years, and you have seen so many ruins and properties that might not work. And obviously, the amount of properties that we have seen online is exponentially more. And it is funny because it marks now 2 years that we have seen this property here. And after that, it took still quite some time to be able to buy it. And it is even more funny that we were not considering to see it because we had a baby of half a year. Misha was in parental leave for a month, and before his parental leave, he had seen the announcement for this land, and for some reason, he decided we wouldn't want to see it. I don't actually know. The photos were not perfect. It was something throwing us off, and a drive of 4 hours to potentially not seeing what we really wanted. We were not sure about the region. We have never seen anything here in the region. Well, it's really safe to say we were extremely overwhelmed with life at that point. The idea of traveling 4 hours somewhere or even longer, because the children were really small for a long drive, so it would have been several breaks, probably an entire day of travels, was just not something we really wanted to do. And then just in the first days of this parental leave, a review of this very property showed up on a YouTube channel on our home site. We have been following some YouTubers with farms in Portugal and was just in generally interesting to us. And this showed up because they were looking for properties. And it looked amazing on the videos. So we quickly took the decision that maybe it was time for a travel. And we used the parental leave for a trip, not just in one day. We took several days to go on a vacation, and so it would not be too overwhelming and stressful to travel. And that marks the day that we saw this property 2 years ago. We were immediately absolutely in love. Our oldest child called it fairyland. It was just incredible to have a river in the front. So it combined everything we have been ever looking for. Of course, when you are looking into properties, apartments, you know that you have a list of must-haves and can-haves. And it pretty much tickled all must-haves, and it tickled a lot of can-haves. So there was not many downsides. We came home and we made immediately an offer. But then we had to find money for the entrance actually. The property had some issues with it that was found out when we requested a credit from a bank. So we took quite some time to be able then to buy it. This was then in November. So May, 7 months until buying the property. And now it's ours. I can talk about the whys and how it changed our life in one of the next videos. But then the buying process was straightforward. Misha even had to go alone to do it because we have very little kids and we did not want to make the trip again with them. For our purchases of property in Portugal, we never hired a lawyer. That's totally up to you if this is something you feel more safe with. But our first apartment we bought with an agency. The agency was for us and for the seller, and we did not have any issues. But it might be different if you are coming with the full money, the full amount to buy a house, because in our case it was always dependent on a credit and the banks check everything and make sure it is a legal property to buy, because ultimately the bank owns it. So they want to make sure everything is correct legally. In our case, it was also the credit institute for this land that found out that something was still missing to be able to sell or to buy. And this really took a long time to finalize. And then it took us another 2 months to finally organize the move and move here in January last year. For us, it was also so perfect to buy this land because we knew that we really wanted a house that was ready to move in. Even though it's not luxurious at all, it's a very, very small stone house. Our living room is tiny, but we just needed a dry place in winter to be with our children. We didn't want to focus first on renovating a house because we have so many plans for the land and for our touristic project. Finding a property with a functioning house that didn't need a lot of work was the key, and it was amazing to be able to find that in a land that also fits our needs. Was machst du? Go, go, go. Nee, Flocke also wants to join. It's auch Möchtest du auch was erzählen? I'm saying now goodbye. Please let us know in the comments if there are any questions you might have about how or why we bought a property in Portugal. I have been trying to tell our story a little bit, but if there are any open questions, we are so happy to answer them in another video. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet. We really want to grow our community, and we would really love to know who's following. We are now almost reaching 300 subscribers, and you know more and more about us. We know very little about you, so feel free. Don't be shy. Leave us a comment and subscribe. Bye.